Hi, my name is Kate Thomas, and I'm from California Geological Survey, and I'm going to be talking to you today about post-earthquake data collection. So I'm going to be talking about the importance of rapid data collection and the potential uses of these data after an event, and then spend quite a bit of time talking about our data collection schema and ArcGIS Online, how it interacts with Collector for ArcGIS, which is our digital platform collection application. A little bit about data compilation before I turn it over to Luke Blair to talk about that, and then the future direction that we are going to be going with our data collection for future events. So it's important that we're able to get out and collect data before any weathering or erosion occurs. And having a digital platform that our geologists can pick up, run out into the field, it's ready to use, is really going to facilitate that. We also have, it also allows us to define areas of interest for data collection so we can get out and collect LiDAR and optical imagery, as well as it increases our situational awareness for areas with ground deformation that could potentially affect infrastructure. Potential uses of these data after the event are, of course, understanding earthquakes better. We're able to update and refine our prediction models. And then CGS also uses these data to create or refine Alquist-Pirlo earthquake fault zones. And one of the really important points I want to get across in this talk is that CGS and USGS are really working together to come up with a data collection schema and platform that works for both of our organizations. And for the data schema, which I'm going to talk about over the next few slides, on the left will be the layer I'm talking about. On the right are the fields within each one of the layers. I don't have time to go into those in depth, but I want you to see what's in that. We have a combination of points, lines, and polygons. And for each of the events, or each of the feature that the geologist is collecting, you can attach photos to each one of these fields. So the first layer is a point layer, and it's called event information. And this is information that I or another GIS analyst would fill out before our geologists head out into the field. And that just gives the location, the magnitude, the date, and time of the particular event. Then we have a point observation layer. This layer has actually gone through numerous schema changes since Ridgecrest. Originally, we had 3 layers, one for landslides, liquefaction, and surface rupture. We then changed the schema numerous times, and we currently have a schema which unfortunately isn't working, but it mimics the data compilation database so that it's easier for our compilation team to put these data into a database. We also have, I think there's like 46 fields in here right now. We also kind of plan this as anticipating that Esri was going to come out with a smart form for Collector, meaning in the origin list, if you choose landslides, only those fields that are associated for landslides would come up. Unfortunately, Esri hasn't built that into the ArcGIS Online environment yet. And so we are currently revising this to just pick the top 10 to 12 fields that are really important for our geologists to fill out immediately after an event. So this will be changing. We have a facility and utility damage layer, which allows us, our geologists in the field, to report any buildings or utilities that they find that are damaged with the yellow, green, red, and call 911 immediately form. We, of course, will be sharing these data with the Socket Cal OES as well as the National Guard if they are responding to an event, and get them these data as close to real time as possible. We have a node deformation layer, and this was, we were asked by our field team to put this in during the Ridgecrest response because there were large areas that had no deformation that they were going to, and they wanted to be able to see that quickly on the map that, okay, this isn't an area we need to worry about right now. So we added this layer, and it actually, from what I've heard, has been extremely useful. For our line layers, we have a line observation. fields. And again, you can choose landslide, liquefaction, or surface rupture. The great thing about the line layers is you can stream the data. So as you are walking a surface rupture, you can have this streaming, and it's collecting the line you are walking. And so you don't need to necessarily stop every few points to figure out how the rupture is going. You can have that streaming. You can pause the streaming to take an observation, a point observation, and then you could start streaming it again as you walk. And this has been very useful as well. And so we also created a no deformation line layer again. So as the field team is walking, they can be streaming this and just saying that there's nothing here. I've been here. You don't have to worry about going back to this location. And then after the Nevada earthquake, it was asked that we put a polygon layer back into the collection app. We had removed them after Ridgecrest because we were finding that people were really using the point observations more than anything else. But a couple of people had mentioned that it would have been nice to be able to either draw a polygon or walk a polygon to show that that this particular area has this deformation or no deformation associated with it. So once the layers are created in ArcMap, they are shared to ArcGIS Online. A map is created, and then that map is shared with a group, and that group has protections on it that are managed by myself or another GIS analyst on who can be added to that group. Because CGS and USGS have organizational AGOL accounts, if anyone outside of our organizations want to be added to a collector app to be able to use, they need to have an organizational account as well. So just using a free ArcGIS Online account is not enough. People would need to create a free developer account, which gives you a free ArcGIS Online account, which allows you to access an organizational collector map. You can, in ArcGIS Online, you can see data being collected near real time if people in Collector are using the app live, meaning that they are out there collecting data, they submit a point, it automatically gets uploaded to ArcGIS Online. Unfortunately, in an emergency situation, this isn't necessarily the case, as people need to cache their maps because they may not have cellular service or wireless service. And so if they're out in the field, we want to make sure that nothing happens, and being able to cache the map and work off a cached map is really, we're finding the way to go. And then when the field team gets back to their hotel or gets back to a place that has wireless, a restaurant or whatever, they're able to manually upload these, sync the data to ArcGIS Online, and anything that has been synced before them will also be synced down to their device. So it's a two-way. Data goes up and data comes down. So you're able to really see what others in the field are collecting. That being said, it's highly recommended that people don't go into ArcGIS Online and open the map while an event is happening unless it's a GIS or data compilation team member. It's very easy to change layers, turn layers off and on, edit them in ArcGIS Online. And if you accidentally hit the save button, you're changing the application for everyone who is using it. And so we really ask that that people don't go into ArcGIS Online once the event has started. So once all the data are in the group, you download Arc Collector onto your device. You can sign in. Once you sign in, you see the groups you are associated with, but then also all of the maps that you have available to you. I want to say that Collector is available on the iOS platform, Android, and Windows platform. All the user interfaces are a little bit different. And we also have, Esri seems to update the iOS platform first. That's the one that they're most focused on. A few months later, an update may come for Android, and then for a Windows device, you're looking at months to maybe even a year before that reaches all of the changes that have occurred in Collector. So once you're in Collector, if you're using it live, you just click on the map. If you want to cache a map, you hit on the ellipsis. It allows you to download the map. And then I know this isn't Ridgecrest, but this is, it zooms you into the location where you are currently standing. You're able to turn layers off and on, change the base map if you're using it live, make measurements, but the most important tool is that you want to click the plus, and this will list all of the editable features in your layer. I chose here to add a fault rupture point. You then go in and you can scroll through and add all of the data that you're interested in. Some are pick lists, some are text fields, some are numbers. Down below, it'll say, do you want to take a photo or add an attachment? You add the point to the map by clicking on the map, and then you click the submit button. That won't be grayed out once you're ready to submit. You can also edit data, so I can choose this yellow surface fault rupture point right here. I can go in, I can edit any of the data, attach more photos, and then update the point and submit it. We do have collector set up so that it tells us who created the point and the time and day it was created, but it also tells us the last editor of the point. And so if numerous people were to edit this point, you would only see that last person in the database that edited that point. But it allows us to kind of keep record of the creators and editors of the point. And then, as I said, there's no real reason to go into AGOL because to look at the map, because everything, what you see in ArcGIS online is also what you see on the collector map. And so you can turn these layers on and off. You can click points. You can see the data that were acquired, who acquired them. You really have all of the information literally in the palm of your hand that you would have on the computer back in the office. And it makes it really easy to collaborate and to get out there in the field and make sure that the area that we need to survey are covered by using collector. We do share data with the State Operations Center or the SOC at Cal OES and the National Guard if they are responding. We have a script that will take the data from ArcGIS Online, download it, create KMZs, GeoJSONs, and a geodatabase format, zip it up, and put it into a public location. That being said, it is in a public location, so we have been talking about coming up with a data sharing protocol. It might be that we only give out certain layers or certain information because we don't want data that hasn't been vetted or any unfortunate images, photos getting out before our geologists and our team has the ability to go through and vet those data. We also, our compilation team goes in and downloads data daily to add to the database. And that compilation team consists of people from CGS and USGS who compile the data for our organization, as well as anybody else who wants to share their data and get that into the main, to that compilation database. And of course, it is an extremely difficult job to take a data from all different data sources, all different platforms, and put them into one database. And Luke Blair from USGS has been working on scripts to facilitate that process. And then we also we provide preliminary draft products in a KMZ format that goes on the Learning from Earthquakes website. I think for Ridgecrest, we put out 3 or 4 of those. And basically, we strip all of the data underlying the geometry. We do show the points. We have a field on the organization who collected that point. But again, because of sensitive information for Ridgecrest, especially where a lot of those data were acquired on the naval base, it had to be retracted. We weren't allowed to let those data out before the Navy vetted those data. And we also think in an urban environment too, it's going to be really important that we really vet those data before they go public. But definitely sharing where we've been and what we have with the group we know is important, but we just need to make sure that sensitive information doesn't get out to the public before we're ready for it to go. After all of that, our future direction is collector for ArcGIS is being retired, but it is being incorporated into a new new application called Field Maps, where Esri has decided to take their 5 field applications and put them into one. And so you have Collector and Explorer, which are both free apps to use, but then for Navigator, Tracker, and Workforce, if you want to use those in Field Maps, you need to have a license to do so. And I haven't had a chance to use Field Maps yet, but I do hear that they have some that they've updated some information that smart forms may be available in that yet. It's beta, it's being tested right now. So we might be able to get to use attribute rules, which allow fields to be automatically populated, especially if it's something that's going to be repetitive for each point you collect. I also want to create dashboards for faster and easier communication with the SOC. I think that this would eliminate having to download and upload data. They would be able to look at a dashboard, see how many facilities, what utilities, where they are, and the number affected right there by just logging into an ArcGIS online group and opening up that dashboard. And I think that's really going to facilitate communication between a lot of the organizations at the Clearinghouse. And then we've also, among CGS and USGS, have been talking about having multiple collector apps or field map apps, as the case may be, where we have the CGS USGS collector app, but then we duplicate that as another group to allow other organizations responding through the Clearinghouse to be able to use the schema, to be able to use collector, to be and the two apps would communicate. So the USGS and CGS app would see what other responders are collecting. They won't be able to edit those data, but they can see it as the other responder app would be able to see USGS and CGS data being acquired. The groups would have different privileges. Obviously, in the other responder group, we would make it so that you could only edit and download your own data if you were using it. But I know there's talk among other agencies that we need to have a more common schema for responders, and this too would facilitate people being able to use a common schema and really communicate with each other a lot faster about how, where data are being collected. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Luke is already working on scripts and ways to make data compilation faster and easier for that team. And with that, I would like to thank you. And if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them in the questions field. But again, you can always contact me at katethomas@conservation.ca.gov if you have any questions about this schema which we are putting together. Thank you.